It is my great privilege and blessed honor to share with the Eastern Star Church family, and so very proud to be asked to serve in a capacity to walk with you in this Sabbatical and Sabbath program. I want you to know that your church continues to be exceptional. The fact that you could vision and dream and actualize the possibility of your pastor's family, staff, and congregation having a sabbatical and a Sabbath, a sabbatical and Sabbath time of rest and renewal for the entire congregation. You are a word that they used to use when I was growing up, but they don't use that word too much now. You all are righteous. I mean, you all have done an amazing job, and I salute you and I commend you and the staff, the volunteers, and the leadership team that I was privileged to work with for the last year to plan this program. You present a model that many churches are going to follow. The planning is done, and now we're in the execution phase. So let us begin. Would you bow with me just in a word of prayer? This word needs your prayer and your support. So would you just bow? So God, we thank you for just this blessed opportunity. We thank you for the Eastern Star Church family. We thank you for Pastor Jeffrey Johnson, God, his impact, his ministry, his reach, his vision. We thank you for the leadership team that is walking beside him, the staff that serves with him, the volunteers that uphold and support all the various ministry that goes on in this church. And so I ask now that this would be the preaching moment, that you would speak the word. If you don't speak, there's nothing the preacher can say. If you don't move, there's nothing the preacher can do. If you don't anoint, there's nothing the preacher can feel. So you get the glory, and what we're after is a blessing. In Jesus' name, amen. I want you to go with me to our text for the morning, found in Matthew, the 11th chapter, in the 30th verse. And it reads like this: "Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I want to preach to you something this morning entitled, Try Easy. Try easy. In the midst of this pandemic, I don't know about you, but initially we were not allowing anybody inside our house. I mean, nobody but Jesus was he had to then move by his spirit through the doors to get in. We weren't letting anybody in our house. There sat a television that needed to be moved. I looked at it one week, I looked at it another week, and a voice said, "You do not need to move that." Well, the only way that I was going to get it moved, because ain't nobody coming up in here except Jesus moving through walls, I decided to move it. So guess what? I picked it up and moved it. I got up the next morning and everything in my bottom was swollen. I thought it'd go away in a few days since I work out and I take care of myself, and I'm used to injuries because I work out and I take care of myself. I thought it'd go away in a few days, but it did not go away. It started a long, circuitous, and difficult cycle of creams, ice, hot water bottles, pain, doctors, pills, physical therapists, chiropractors, neurosurgeons, and even a shot in my back to help my L5, L4, and L5. You see, young people don't know anything about the L4 and the L5. Young folk don't know anything about that. Old folk know what I'm talking about. I could not walk upstairs. I could not sit without a pad. One doctor was convinced that I needed surgery. Well, when you start talking to me about back surgery, I got to get a second opinion. As a matter of fact, it's only 2 hospitals in the world that gonna cut on my back. So I went to one of them and I got a second opinion. And the second opinion was very different than the first opinion and turned out to be the correct one. In the second opinion, he said surgery would not probably do me any good. He said drugs and injections would probably have no effect. He said there were not going to be any quick fixes to what I had going on in my body. He said this: My main issue was my tension, my anxiety, my emotional worry, my fear, my protective guarding, my catastrophic thinking, and my unconscious holding. In other words, my body was keeping score of the stress in my life. Well, there was only one thing that could help me heal: less stress, more rest, changing my thinking, changing my routine. The doctor called it easy. The only way that I could be healed was to try easy. Well, I said, no problem, doc. I'm avoiding injections and surgery. Yeah, I got this. I decided to try easy. So y'all know what I did? I began to strain to relax. How do you do easy if straining is the way that you do it? I was straining to relax. I discovered that I was working way too hard at easy and adding more stress and not helping myself at all. Trapped and not knowing what to do at 2 a.m. one morning in my frustration and my pain and my inability to find easy, I picked up the Bible, and this is what it said: "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Jesus, what in the world do you mean? I'm trying easy. I'm working at easy. I'm trying to get easy. I'm straining for easy. But here you are in this text offering easy. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I reflected that that's probably not just me. Almost everybody I know working for God in churches, in seminary, or in the community is overworked, stressed out, far too many on the verge of giving up ministry altogether. I know pastors who are depressed, making it on fumes, at their wits' end, looking for the first exit or off-ramp they can take. I know social activists who are out in the community trying to make a change, stand up against the system, overcome white supremacy, racism, homophobia, misogyny, this American kleptocracy that we're living in. Overburdened, worn out, struggling with why the system always seems to win. I don't know, but I imagine that many of you who are watching, I imagine that you're uptight, overwhelmed, exhausted, anxious, nervous, and irritable. Stress is the response of your body and mind to pressure and demands. Pressure and demands are stressors, and many of us are stressed out. With all this going on, again, Jesus is offering easy. Jesus is saying, try easy. Why don't you try easy? Jesus is pleading with us this morning. Just try. Well, I'm trying easy. What, Jesus, do you mean? Jesus says there's a place called easy, a state called easy, a street called easy. Would you be willing to try easy? If you be willing, let's walk through this text. Let's walk. Let's look at verse 28. Come unto me. Let's stop right there. Come right there. Come unto me. He says, come unto me. Well, I was arrested by that at the very start. Why? Because I tried everybody else. I tried doctors, nurses, chiropractors, physical therapists, acupuncturists, hospitals, neurosurgeons, friends, families, associates. I got comfort for him just saying, come unto me. In my desperate attempts to heal, when you got pain in your life every day and it's chronic, and you're not getting the help, you're praying for healing. I prayed for my own healing. I had others to pray for my healing. I even laid hands on myself and anointed myself with oil. But I had not come unto him. I came for a quick relief and a quick fix and pain relief, but I had not come to him. I didn't come for change. I came for a surface healing so I could get back to my workout and my routine. I came to feel better. I did not come for radical emotional surgery on my tension, my anxiety, my unconscious holding, my protective guarding. Reading it late in the night, I got so much comfort in this 28th verse. Come unto me. Wow, come unto me. Then he says, come unto me, all ye that labor. The word labor describes the most wearisome and the hardest kind of work, the hardest kind of labor. This is the person who is given everything they have to a project, to an assignment, or to their family. One researcher said it this way: he or she is striving, laboring, and working with every fiber of their being, laboring under a load without pause for a very long time. Their work has been wearisome, exhausting, and unending. They are giving everything. In one of my former churches, I was a pastor, and I used to preach 3 weekend worship services. And I used to tell my friends that I was on revival every weekend. I was, I didn't have revival. I was on revival every weekend at my home church. And when I got out of that 3rd service, I remember I had a security team, and the head of the security team would walk up to me. I'd come down out of the pulpit after that 3rd worship service, and he would kind of reach out to me, and I'd fall on him because I gave in the pulpit to the people for 3 services. I gave everything, hoping that somebody might be saved. I know that. Maybe you. I gave everything to my family. I gave everything. And this is when family has needs from sun up to sundown, and you finally lay your head on the pillow. You say, God, I gave everything. I know. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever labored? Ye that labor have a place to come. First, he says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are giving everything. Then he says, I will give you rest, is what he says. The Greek in the text means to rest, to relax, to calm or refresh. The root of the word is where we get the word pause, to cease, to desist, to refrain, to take a breather, to have a break, to have a hiatus, a lull, an interval, an interruption, a siesta, a day off. To have a Sabbath, a sabbatical, a vacation, a staycation, or to take time to get away from something, sometimes someone, or some responsibility, that is labor. Maybe we could translate this text, come unto me and I will give you a break, is what he says. Let me tell you this story very, very briefly. I was a young pastor, and I had a growing church, and I got my first secretary. And in those days, they don't do that now. They used to write out the messages on a pink sheet of paper, a little square pad, and it had who, old school folks. You remember them days. So, I've been working. I've been giving everything. I've been working. I came in, and my whole desk was littered with these little pink things, just like bunches of them. I'm like, oh my God, I just broke down and wept. So she said, what is going on with you? She sent me home. I went home. When I went home, my wife said, well, what's going on? I said, I decided to go to a retreat center. So I went to this retreat center. I'm going to make it quick because it's beautiful. Sorry. I went to this retreat center, right? And so they give you a spiritual director in the retreat center. So I got a nun. It's up on the north side of Chicago. I got a nun. She was from Germany, so she spoke broken English. So, I meet with her, and, I'm expecting some great revelation, some spiritual truth from God. This woman has been praying. She sent me a little card, so I'm praying for you before you get here, right? So anyway, let me get it. So I meet with her, and, I say, God, couldn't you give me some idea? I can speak the language. How am I gonna get some help here? I couldn't So anyway, I pour my heart out. I tell her everything. It was like about an hour. I just lay it out. I lay it out. So I sit back after I finish and say, I'm looking for some deep spiritual revelation. I'm looking for the word of the Lord to speak to my life. You know what she said? She said, you need a nap. That's what she said to me. Wait a minute. I'm looking for the word. She said, you need a nap. She said, go upstairs and sleep as long as you want to. My God. I went upstairs, took a nap. I don't know when I got up, because I never heard anybody tell me that I could sleep as long as I wanted. With all that I had going, I was a young preacher, young pastor, growing church, young family, wife, 2 kids. I think that's what God says to somebody looking at me. God says, take a nap and see. Well, after that, I came back the next day and she ministered to my spirit. You see, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. I will give you a nap. Then it says, take my yoke. The backdrop, of course, in Jewish history, one of the highest honors in Jewish culture is to become a rabbi and study Torah. It is an honor to take upon oneself the yoke of studying Torah. One could find rest in studying Torah. Jesus says, take up my yoke, which means study me, and you will find rest. Come unto me, you will find rest. Study my word, my Torah, you will find rest. You see, in those days, the chief model of education was mentorship and apprenticeship. You learned by taking up a mentor's yoke, allowing the mentor to instruct you and guide you. The mentor gave you direction and you followed. And some mentors were hard and tough, like many of the Pharisees. Can I quickly tell you about the Pharisees? Can I tell you about the Pharisees? You see, the Pharisees put heavy loads on the shoulders of people: legalism, rules, and regulations. Pharisees represent the zealousness of religious leadership in the human spirit that's in every religion. These leaders believe that they know the way to please God and make it to heaven, and by meticulously following a long list of religious rules and regulations, you can get there. Here's a quick breakdown of the rules and the regulations corresponding to the Pharisees. There was first a Mosaic law that God gave through Moses, the 10 Commandments. But these are actually 10 of a total of 613 commandments given to the Hebrew people. Then there was something called the Midrash. The Midrash, while following 613 commandments would be hard enough, over time, Jewish leaders began to slowly add to these in the Midrash. This was additional teaching, an ongoing compilation of sermons and sayings by Jewish rabbis meant to interpret the original Mosaic law. The original intent of these additions was to clarify, but it ended up adding many layers of complicated regulations. This Midrash was already lengthy in Jesus' day and continues to grow to this very day. So for the Pharisees, they not only tried to get you to follow 613 commandments of the Mosaic law, but literally thousands of new commandments that were created to clarify the original 613. For example, in the Mosaic law, one of the commandments is to keep the Sabbath holy, which means that Jews were not supposed to work on Saturdays. But to clarify this, Jewish scholars created 39 separate categories of what work means. And within those 39 categories, there are many subcategories. So to follow the rule of not working on the Sabbath, there are literally thousands of sub-rules to follow, including how many steps you can take, how many letters you can write on the Sabbath. Jesus got fed up with this. Matthew 23, 1-4. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you, but don't do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. The rules and regulations of the Pharisees was a heavy burden. In contradistinction to heavy loads of the Pharisees, take my yoke. Take my yoke. Take my Torah. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. Not arrogant, pompous, narcissistic, selfish, paranoid, not legalistic. You will not find rule after rule, legal prescription after legal prescription. He says, I am humble of heart, and you will find rest for your soul. And then, if you're tracking with me, he says, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The word easy, it means from the Greek, pleasurable, delightful, or comfortable. This means underneath my yoke, you will find it a delight to work with the Lord. If you can remember a time in your life when you were peaceful and you were happy, in those times, there was no trace of strain. You ever been in relationships and friendships that are no strain? That's how I know I'm not supposed to be in some relationships, when it's a strain. But there's some relationships, they flow. It's like I've been knowing you all of my life. It's like it's easy. That's what Jesus is saying. His yoke is not like the Pharisaical yoke. It's easy. My burden is light, something that is not heavy. The bottom line is this: Jesus would give you the rest that you need to be refreshed on the journey. This does not mean that Jesus will take away the burden. It means that he will help provide to you the refreshment that you need to continue and conclude the journey. The load and the burden is yours, but you can carry the burden without strain because he offers refreshment. So this then is the meaning of what Jesus is offering to us right here, right now, today. Jesus is offering rest. Jesus is offering Eastern Star Church, Pastor Jeffrey Johnson, the staff, the leadership. Jesus is offering rest. You've labored. You've done amazing things. He's saying, rest, for my yoke is easy. He says, now, I'm not going to lift the burden off Eastern Star. That's not what I'm doing. But I will give you refreshment so you can continue the journey and conclude. I got to this point and I said, with all this that's being offered, with all that's being offered in this text, why don't we take Jesus up on this? You know, why am I still straining? He's offering me easy, and I'm straining, to get it. I don't really know how to do easy. So I asked that question. Why do we get offered easy and don't bother to take it up? So I had to be honest with myself, and this is what I found. Few of us, including me, have ever completely devoted ourselves to our own care. Listen to me. Few of us, including me, have ever completely devoted ourselves to our own self-care. We have the lip service. We have the head knowledge. We know it up here, but sometimes and somehow don't get down here. We tell others they need to rest. We take classes, yoga, meditation, Zumba. We have trainers, healthcare professionals, therapists, psychologists, spiritual directors, life coaches, massage therapists, and pastors. But we have not completely devoted ourselves to our own care. Some of us treat our car better than we treat ourselves. We won't let an ounce of dirt get on the ride, but we have not had a prostate exam, a colonoscopy, or a checkup. We take better care of the outside of our body than our inside, dolled up in dresses and shoes and hats, all matching accessories, dressed to the nines, laying on full, but blood pressure sky high, cholesterol off the charts. Player with suits and ties and gaiters and bunches of women on the side. But bipolar condition has never been diagnosed, contributing to addictive behaviors and substances, trying to use sex and women to address needs that are not sexual and hurts that women can't resolve. Can I continue? I wish I had somebody in this room. Can I continue? People will pay $300 for a basketball ticket or $1,000 for a fight in Vegas. But when you ask them to pay for their own counseling, pay for their own life coach, pay a health club membership, and especially to pay God in a tithe at the church, something that will help them care for their souls, they look at you like you're crazy. I like people who dress nice, who are clean as the Board of Health. But sometimes I want to ask, what about your soul? I like a nice ride, but what about your self-care? Few of us have ever completely devoted ourselves to our own care. Jesus is offering, but we cannot take it. We don't know how to care for ourselves. Can I be a friend to myself? Can I treat myself with patience, kindness, non-judgment, and devotion? Can I have compassion on my own struggle? Everybody has an unseen struggle. But can I have compassion on my own struggle? You see, I believe that with Jesus, you are the doctor you've been waiting on. I believe when you get Jesus in your life, you are the doctor that Jesus is waiting for. I am thankful for a God that says, come unto me. I am thankful for a God that loves me unconditionally, that sees me trying easy and then offers to me easy. A God whose yoke is easy. I'm glad that God didn't sentence me to misery in ministry. I'm glad that God didn't make me stay in the pulpit till I got sick and either my health is gone and I can't enjoy my closing years and they wheel me from the pulpit in a casket. No, I'm thankful. I'm glad that God allowed me to share ministry, let other people preach, let other people teach, let other people do ministry so I can take a break. I'm glad that it doesn't all fall on me. I've got somebody I can come to. This is the word for Jesus today. Get some rest. Let somebody else be the center for a while. Let somebody else make some decisions for a while. Let somebody else carry the burden get some rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Can I tell you what happened to me with my injury? I finally got to someone who wasn't interested in pills and needles and surgery or injections. I went to physical therapy and I found out the physical therapist, no pills, no needles, no injections. They wanted to talk to me about something so simple and basic that it seemed almost ridiculous. With all I was going through, they wanted to talk to me about my posture. They said, before you go to surgery, and you may need surgery, why don't you just let us work on you for a little while with your posture and let's see what happens. Our guess is your body is out of alignment and your hip is the place that's crying out. Your posture puts too much pressure on the hip. You see, this was not just a television injury. This had been coming for many years, according to how I sat over the desk and typed, wrote books years sitting hunched over, how I walked hunched over. You know what they did? They told me to walk across the room. It took pictures. When I got back, he said, do you see how your belt is a little bit higher on this side than it is on that side? He said, your posture, that's why that hip is acting out. They gave me exercises that I had to do every day for an hour. It took me an hour and a half because I did them. I did it faithfully. And then for the first 2 months, no change. I said, well, doc, ain't nothing happening. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. So stuff is happening. You just can't see it yet. I went back and kept going. And you know what? All of a sudden, I threw my sitting pillow in the closet. I used to have a pillow. I would, when I go fly to preach, I'd have a pillow with me under my arm. I put the pillow in my seat. And when I teach class, I would teach with a pillow. I put that pillow in the closet, starting to feel better. All of a sudden, I could do stairs. I could go up and down stairs. I had some bit of discomfort. But all of a sudden, it was easy because my body was aligned. What I'm suggesting to you is your spiritual posture might be off. You ain't listening. You're not listening to me. Your spiritual posture might be off. I know you're doing well. I know, it's you blowing up. But your spiritual posture somewhere. So maybe the ache is not in your body, it's in the family because they ain't seen you. Maybe they're crying out. Or maybe it's your health. Or maybe it's you don't feel like being bothered half the time. I don't know. When you are when you don't come to him, when you don't pick up his yoke, when you don't take a nap. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am humble and gentle of heart. And you will find rest for your soul. Something called easy. Well, easy. You'll find, try easy. You'll find easy. What many of you don't know is my father died on January 6th. After almost a 9-month battle with cancer. He tried 2 different chemo treatments. One is kind of an immunology. You see it advertised on TV as Keytruda. It didn't shrink the cancer. They put him then on regular chemo, 4 months of Keytruda, 4 months, and it didn't. And he was so sick December 15th, we had a good Thanksgiving and came out of that. But the first 2 weeks, he was so sick. And my mom said the Lord gave her. She said, I was driving him to the chemo. She said, the Lord spoke to me and said, this is not for anybody. I ain't telling nobody to stop chemo. This is what my mama said. The Lord said to her, the chemo is killing them. Call the family together. We make a decision to stop the chemo. December 15th. December 30th. He was suffering. December 30th, he meets with the oncologist. He was suffering. I remembered a song that one of my former music ministers, his name is Leo Davis, he won't mind me calling his name. He did a spiritual. And you know what the spiritual said? It said, I want to die easy when I die. Shout salvation as I fly. I want to die easy. I remembered that. I began to sing that for my dad. God, I just want my dad to die easy. I told him, I said, Dad, I would rather learn to live without you than see you suffer like this. Try easy. I prayed for God to take my father. Even now, I sing that spiritual. Every time I get down, I want to die easy. If I was a singer, I'd sing it to you. You know, I've noticed in my ministry that when I sing, the Holy Spirit leaves the room. So I won't offer it, but I look it up on the internet somewhere. It's a spiritual. I want to die easy. It's a beautiful piece. I want to die easy when I die. Shout salvation. Try easy. Try easy. Try easy. Get to know him. Try easy. Try easy. Bring your burden to him. I want to die easy when I die. Shout salvation. And so I'm thankful for this opportunity to share and preach this gospel. Thankful to Pastor Johnson that he would ask me to do it. Thankful that I could give this testimony about easy. It's a blessing. Not only they'll keep you in your job, but when you have to face death, yours or someone's you love, he says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This then is the word of God. It is given to the people of God. Let those who have ears hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Amen.